So mad. Hello, yeah, everybody. Welcome to Monday, night before elections, and night after. No, not after Halloween. 2 days after Halloween,
Two
right?
days after Halloween.
But it is officially. We're still in a Halloween spirit here in Brazil because it is Finados Day, which is the Day of the Dead. So today's a holiday here in Brazil, where we are stationed.
Which worked out really well for the weekend.
Really well, except that tomorrow I thought that they were the holiday was on a Tuesday and they were kind of bridging it because they've done that a bunch of times this
Yes,
year.
the bridge. The bridge.
Yeah, Brazilians love the bridge. By the way, the bridge we played. That's the name of my band. We played on Saturday, and thank you, Pete, for coming. Actually, if you look on your screen, you'll see a nice little picture of the two of us.
Yes. Phil is bringing music to the people, and it was glorious.
It was whole lot of fun. I had a whole lot of fun, and they're gonna call us back, and we'll be a little bit more rehearsed. I promise. Because it was a last minute show. That's another thing that happens a lot in Brazil is that they'll ask you to do something for tomorrow, and you're like, what? And then you're like, I learned the hard way that you should say yes to things like that because I lost a potential gig right down the street from my house because the lady said the same thing. She was like, so can you guys play this Sunday? And it was the weekend of the last holiday we had in the beginning of October. And I was like, I don't know because I think my boss wants to go hiking and this and that. Like I kind of was half and half with it. And then I haven't been able to get like traction on getting the gig going there again. So in Brazil, if an opportunity knocks, you got to come crashing through the door.
Yes,
Be
when opportunity knocks, you answer.
Exactly. So this one, I was like, okay, no, we can do it. We'll do something,
Yeah, and you know what? People were so happy. Like the crowd wasn't that big.
Yes.
But the crowd was coming in and out. Like a lot of people saw you because like people came and they stayed for a while and they left, and then more people came, stayed, and they left. So yeah, a lot of people saw you and they were happy. They were happy just to be doing shit.
I know it was nice, and they were very nice after the show. And I took a picture with a few of them. They got on my Instagram, Phil Ray Music. I'm doing propaganda, so go over there. And actually, on this very channel, I just uploaded the video of the show, so you can check it out. But anyway, enough self-promotion. Other than the usual, thank you everybody for watching the channel. There will be ranking stuff coming. I'm fucking busy with work. I work.
I know. I downloaded the Seafarers, but I haven't watched it yet.
Well, so that's on YouTube, I think, too. But I still gotta finish. I did half of the Alien podcast. I edited. I'm like at the halfway point, and then I stopped. But the thing with me is like when I get going, I'll go till 4 a.m. I won't stop. But to get to the day in the moment where I'm like, okay, I can do this now. That's the hard part. But once I get going, I'm going like I did with this video from yesterday. I went till 4 a.m. I thought, I can do this in an hour my ass. But you just get into the groove and you go boom, 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 boom. So I will do it because I don't want to get backed up because I still have the Star Trek one, which I think
that was a long time ago.
That was a very long time ago. So we'll get it out before.
That was a fun night, though.
It was. It was. Actually, it is still on the channel. It's just the audio was like we were too drunk. So I just had to cut out some shit. Like, so I want to redo it. What do you call it? Cut out some of the ramblings that we had that were very drunk.
We went a bit off topic.
Yes. So check those out. Those will be coming hopefully this year. So maybe you'll get a double shot at the end of the year. Get some Aliens, some Star Trek, and then you'll have some Stanley Kubrick for 2021.
And maybe some Dirty Harry as well.
Yes, we thought about Dirty Harry. I've been thinking of a few franchises that are good for us that are short. And the short ones, I think it would be cool if we did it like we did Rambo, which was just like kind of like a live.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of real off the cuff. Like the shorter ones, I think we may be able to do live. But if it's more than 8 movies, it's nice to record it after because we can kind of go off a little bit. But definitely do a Dirty Harry one. Dirty Harry, and then after that, maybe some Death Wish. I like these old movies. Death Wish is great, man.
I don't know, man. I have a real problem with that character.
Oh, why? Because he's a violent gun nut.
Yeah,
But
but
that's the whole.
he enjoys it too much. It's not about revenge for his family. It's about him getting off on killing people.
But that's what I think is cool about the character because it does begin definitely as revenge for his family, but he learns that he gets off of it on it. So as the movies progress, they do kind of introduce that as an element of like what was his name, Kimball or something? Forgot his name now. But he's like, "You're getting off on this shit," and he's like, "No, I'm not." And deep inside, you know he is, and that's like
Right.
his conflict. It's like because he turns into like now I'm just gonna become like the justiciero as they say here, you know, like
The Avenger.
the avenger of the people. So I think that's kind of like
But he goes looking for fights where there aren't any.
exactly. But that's where he's fucked up. That's why I think he's a cool character. He's just fucked up, but the movie doesn't try to shy away from that. Like it shows him as this fucked up dude that he's just killing people for the hell of it after a while. Because I guess he's just traumatized. You know, he's traumatized, and this is his way to get over the trauma by just being as bad as the people that attacked his family. And I guess his only justification is, well, these are bad guys, but Dirty Harry has a little bit of that, right? A little touch of
Well,
that.
the thing, Dirty Harry is actually an officer of the law. Like he has like the legal right to do most
Yeah,
of
but
the
he
shit
gets
he
off
does.
on it a little bit, doesn't he? As the movies progress, it's been a long time since I've watched Dirty Harry or the subsequent movies, so I'm sure they probably
He
brought that in.
he doesn't have much respect for the judicial process.
Mm.
Like that's the whole thing in Dirty Harry is when he goes to apprehend the suspect, he shoots his kneecap off actually, and tortures him to get information, and the police have to let him go because his rights were violated. He's like, man, what about that girl's rights?
Exactly.
In his grumbly voice, you know.
No,
So
I get
he
you.
is like a man of the people, but he's a man of the people with a badge. Charles Bronson doesn't have a badge.
Yes.
He's a vigilante.
He's a
Completely.
total vigilante. So we'll check those out. Maybe we could do, you know, we'll be, because how about this is a novel idea? This would be kind of crazy. Then we'll turn it into a long podcast. Because I think there's 5 Death Wishes and 5 Dirty Harrys. Maybe we could rank them together.
We could.
Because they're kind of in the same universe. It's like
they are.
So yeah, maybe we'll do that. And they're short movies, most of them.
Yeah, they are.
But anyway, tonight though we'll be talking about the new season of The Mandalorian, episode 1, which I just
Marshall.
Yeah, I just saw it today. And then The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I will defend because I actually like this movie, and it's like both critics and audiences really hate this movie, and I don't get why. And then Pete's going to talk the trial of the Chicago 7 and Free Fire. So we're going to have a good evening of some newer movies and older one to put in the mix. But any quick picks? Anything you've been watching?
I watched The Deer Hunter yesterday. Believe it or not.
Oh yeah, you told me. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that in about 30 years. But when I lived with my stepmother, it was the only movie she owned on VHS. So I used to watch it all the time. And yeah, it's a great movie, man. Like,
I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've never sat through it. I've seen bits of it, but it's very long. Like I've never.
It's super long, man. It was my entire day, basically. It's so long. But yeah, I mean, like De Niro, we know De Niro is awesome, and this is De Niro in his prime.
And Christopher Walken's in there too, right?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like Christopher Walken is the show. He is the show. Like the whole. I think what everyone remembers about this movie is the Russian roulette scene.
Yes, I mean everybody.
And he's so intense. And yeah, this is what made Christopher Walken. Like, if you wonder where this reputation came from, it was this. It was this. People saw him in this, and they're like, wow, that motherfucker is awesome.
Yeah. But you had mentioned that Meryl Streep was a standout.
Meryl Streep, yes,
Very young Meryl
is in
Streep.
it. I cannot think of a movie she was in before this. I think this might actually be her first movie.
Really?
Yeah, and she's good. She's so good in it.
It's from 1978.
Yes.
Let me see. We'll keep talking here. I'm going to try to find out about Meryl Streep in here.
Yeah, like these days we all know Meryl Streep is the queen of acting. Like everything she's in, like she brings it full on. It doesn't matter if she's in like a piece of garbage because she has been in a lot of shit movies.
Yeah, she's been in a ton, so there's got to be some shit in there.
But before The Deer Hunter, I cannot think of a movie I've seen her in. The other movie from that era that really rings a bell for me is Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah,
and she's incredible in that. Incredible. So yeah, I mean, like you have these powerhouses in De Niro and Christopher Walken, but you got Meryl Streep in there playing this fairly small role.
You were close. It's her second. They got her as
Julia. Oh, she's in Julia.
Yeah. Julia in 1977 and Deer
So
Hunter
it's
78.
her second movie.
She was in Manhattan.
Woody Allen.
Yeah, I love that, but I don't remember her in there.
No.
Okay. So she was in Manhattan, and then Kramer versus Kramer to close out the decade in 79.
Yeah, French Lieutenant's Women. That was a good one.
Sophie's Choice. I've never seen that.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. I missed a lot of the 80s movies.
That is a dark as fuck movie, man.
Yeah. I have like this whole blank spot with 80s movies. Because I really got into movies when I was about maybe 10 or 11, which was like 1990, 91. So the 80s movies that I dug, that I watched a lot, were like Meatballs, Revenge of the Nerds. Like
I saw most of those in the theaters.
Yeah, like I watched a lot of those because they would show them. So for me, because I grew up before all the internet shit, before Al Gore had invented everything for us.
Yes.
So my movie watching was whatever was on TNT or, whatever the superstation was, whatever Ted Turner had bought. So they would usually show all these smutty movies. So I know all the 80s smutty movies, but not like the serious ones, because AMC, which I used to watch a lot, and Bravo, they would go more 1970s, 1950s. So I know a lot of 1960s movies, 1950s, 70s, a lot of silent movies. But the 80s is like this kind of blank spot for me with movies.
A Cry in the Dark, that's a good one too. A dingo ate my baby.
She-Devil... Death Becomes Her. See, look, 1992. I love that movie. That's one of the first movies I associate with Meryl Streep is Death Becomes Her. The River Wild with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, she was totally slumming it there.
Yes, but it was a great, cool movie. She's great in. She's in AI. She's in AI, artificial intelligence.
I don't remember that as well.
I don't remember that either. And I love that movie. I've seen that about 2 or 3. Actually, that's a pseudo Kubrick movie. Maybe we should add that to the list because technically it's his movie. Steven Spielberg just like took it over after he died, But that technically that's 90% Kubrick script or whatever, like Kubrick production, and he trusted Spielberg to finish it. Which some folks say the Spielberg part is the last 10-20 minutes of that movie because it's sort of like the happy ending.
It got a bit tired at the end.
Yeah, it was the happy ending. It's like it should have just ended with, what was it, when everything flooded or whatever, like the world ended. Yeah. But then you had, like in 1,000 years later, the kid is still awake.
Music from the Heart. That's the one she did with Wes Craven, of all people. That's speaking of quick picks. I also watched Nightmare on Elm Street last week, which was really fun. Always enjoy that movie, but I cannot believe that Wes Craven actually one day directed Meryl Streep in a movie about a music teacher. Wow.
Oh yeah, and what was his name? Johnny Depp was in there.
I don't think so.
No, in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yes, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
And the fifth one. He did like a cameo in the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a little cameo. But it says here, development on AI originally began with producer-director Stanley Kubrick after he acquired the rights. But then he just never got around to doing it. he said that he couldn't find the child actor who would be able to portray. So Kubrick
It
handed
was Haley
AI.
Joel Osment, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
he is great. Yeah. In 1995, Kubrick handed AI to Spielberg, but the film did not gain momentum until Kubrick's death in 1999. Spielberg remained close to Watson's film treatment to the screenplay. Yeah, so that's like a pseudo Kubrick film. But yes, it's like that's a movie I should watch. The Deer Hunter. I never sat through it from beginning to end.
It's long, man. Budget a day for it.
Yeah. And what did I didn't watch anything this week. I was so busy setting up this gig because the guy called on a Wednesday night for us to play on a Saturday, and it was a rock show. And as much as I do love rock and roll, we hadn't been playing that. We haven't been rehearsing rock songs, so I had to just figure out a set list, find some time to rehearse, or even not rehearse because the drummer wasn't even able to come to any of the rehearsals. So that's what I was doing. So today I got to watch shit today. So I watched The Mandalorian and The Extraordinary Gentleman, which brings us to this guy. What's his name? Zardon? Zardoz, whatever.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. The great Zardoz from 1974. Zardoz.
Who doesn't think it's bad to smack women?
Who doesn't think it's bad to smack women? Not all the time. It's just when
they're out of line.
Yes.
When they're out of line, when they get the last word.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
When they think they got the last word.
That's what I was going to say, because women just won't let it go, and they want to have the last word.
And you got to smack that bitch.
So you just got to smack them to let them know, look, this conversation is over.
Yeah.
So I can respect that. Okay. Yeah. So... Well, rest in peace, one of the greats of the movie era, old school movie era. And Pete probably has more of a connection with him because he's a bit older than me, from the Bond era.
Right. Roger Moore was my first Bond,
mm-hmm.
But when my mom took me to see my first Bond movie, she told me there was this guy, Sean Connery, who came before this, and anytime those movies came on TV, man, I love watching them. Thunderball, Goldfinger, Dr. No, all those movies are great.
Yeah, no, I used to watch them when I was a kid, and I think he's more my Bond of the old school than Roger Moore. I don't recall even watching any Roger Moore movies with double. I'm sure I've seen them. What's the one where they come with Metal Mouth and the Japanese guy with the hat, Dr. No?
That's Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
Yeah, which is an amazing. That's the one with Pussy Galore.
But is that Roger Moore or Sean Connery?
That's Sean Connery.
Okay, yeah. See, all the ones that I remember as a kid were all Sean Connery ones. I don't think because
but the metal mouth dude is actually Jaws. He was in the Roger Moore film.
Okay, that one. Yeah, I remember watching that one. I think my parents liked that one because I think they ended up in Rio at some point. They came down to Rio de Janeiro, so I think my parents used to watch that one. But yeah, they used to show these on the cable channels. But I remember Sean much more as James Bond than Roger Moore. And then for me, like I was just saying, I have this whole blackout in the 80s, and then my first memory of Sean Connery is from Indiana Jones, where he stole the movie from Harrison Ford. And it's probably I was attempting to do a Indiana Jones marathon maybe sometime last year. Like the first one, I kept falling asleep during the second one, so I never finished the second movie.
And it's a shitty franchise, actually.
Yeah, I didn't get to 3.
Raiders of the Lost Ark is amazing. It's a wonderful movie.
Yes.
But as a franchise, it kind of sucks. It really does.
It was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say it sucked, but I definitely couldn't make it through Temple of Doom. I was watching, I was falling asleep. It sucked because I wanted to get to the one that I liked, which is the Crusade, the Last Crusade.
Yeah, this one was actually pretty good, and because of Sean Connery.
Exactly. So I couldn't. So I eventually had to get back to it and watch the Last Crusade because I haven't seen that since I was 15 or something. But I used to watch it a lot. So, and then today I watched one of his old movies. I was gonna watch this one because I've known about this movie, and I just wanted to see what type of a shit show it really was.
It looks like fun, man. I might actually check this out.
It looks like a fun shit show. I agree. So I'll check it out. But I watched another movie that he was in, and he's one of these actors that it doesn't seem like they have a lot of range, but they have so much just on presence, charisma,
Yeah.
and they don't need to do a lot. They
Yeah.
just kind of stand there and they just suck up scenery.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at Anthony Hopkins, for example, Anthony Hopkins, I don't think he really covers a wide variety of range. It's just that he commands such presence.
Yes.
When he's on screen.
Morgan Freeman, I think, is another one like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. You see them and you're like, okay, I worship at your feet. Like,
exactly. Yeah, they don't need to do like Robert De Niro, gain 50 pounds for this, and then they gotta cry, and then they gotta scream, and they gotta get angry, and then they gotta laugh really loud. And it's like, nah, he's just gonna stand there, and that's enough. So it's like a very old school bunch that have that, because I can't think of a lot of young actors that have that. Tom Hardy, maybe-ish, like he can.
No, that dude's way over the top.
Yeah, so I can't think of like because these guys come from a lot of stage acting.
Right.
So a lot of the older actors.
One guy that we're going to talk about later is Cillian Murphy.
Uh-huh.
Cillian Murphy actually does do that. Like, he's very subtle.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
And because he's not a professional actor, I think that's one of the reasons why he does that. He's a jazz musician. He just lucked into acting.
Oh, what's his name? Machete. What's his name? Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
He's got that style, but he's not a professional actor either. He's like a hardcore criminal.
Yeah,
just turned into a good guy.
He's awesome at it,
and he's great at it. Yeah. He's another guy that's just like, you love him. He comes on the screen, and you're just like, yes, we can ride with this dude.
Yeah.
But Sean just had it, But I guess he comes from like this. Stage actors just come with a whole different vibe, because Meryl Streep too started out as a stage actress. So, because on stage you have to have a commanding presence, because otherwise the subtle moments just don't work on the stage.
Yeah, I've acted on stage. Yes. And it's like you got to get the audience.
Yeah, you got to get them first, so that when you do the quiet moments, they're with you. Because otherwise, they're just going to be like, I can't hear what he's saying. What's his hand doing? So, but yeah, I don't consider Sean like a great actor, like we were saying, like an actor's actor in the terms of like, your Pacino's,
actor studio,
Denzel Washingtons of the world. But what an icon, though. What an icon of the screen.
The hardest thing is, I can't imagine a world without Sean Connery in it.
Well, you've imagined it. Well, he's been gone for so long, though, because guys like that, like, I don't even feel sad. I don't think I even posted anything about him dying. Because you figured he was going to kick the bucket at some point, and he was already kind of...
He was gone.
Yeah, he was gone for at least 10 years or so.
He was not really part of the cinema world anymore.
Yeah, he retired a long time ago, but he wasn't even part of, like, the showing up at events world, whatever. Like, he just retired off into his little cottage, so you're just like, okay. People like that, I don't get really. It's more like you had mentioned, because you were saying about imagining the world without people you post about B.B. King.
Yeah.
For me, that's a little different, because he was still playing. He was still out there.
The dude was a 90-year-old diabetic who was playing 200 shows a year.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to see him, and I didn't. And
yeah, he came down here to Brazil. Yeah. But the tickets were like, it was mega expensive. It was like $300, $400 bucks to go see the dude. But yeah, I get a little bit more like that one. Even if they're older, but they're still kind of active, it's kind of a little bit sad. Even though, okay, but they're old, they lived a good life.
Yeah, Sean Connery, apparently he was like on vacation with his family on the beach.
Oh, nice.
So good for him, man. Good for him. He had a great life. He was Bond. He was a ton of other things.
He was in The Rock, which is a
great
movie.
He was in The Rock.
With Nicolas Cage.
He was in Indiana Jones. He won an Academy Award for The Untouchables.
Exactly.
So, hey, fuck, good for you, man.
Exactly.
Good for you, man.
He was the dragon in what's that movie? It was a kids movie. It was so good. I think it was Dragonheart or something.
And he was in Highlander too.
He was in
Let's not forget
Highlander.
that.
Yeah, he was in Highlander. Actually, let's look at some other movies he was in because we did that with Miss Streep. Sean Connery movies because I'm sure we're forgetting some of them. Well, there's going to be a whole lot of Bond, obviously. So, yeah, he started out with Lilacs in the Spring. But
He was in The Longest Day. The Longest Day
Tarzan's
was
Greatest
amazing.
Adventure. But let's see,
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
He did a whole lot of the Bonds through the 60s, so we're going to skip those. Then he went back into Diamonds Are Forever. And then 74, he did Zardoz, so don't forget that.
No, God, no.
The Man Who Would Be King, Robin and Marion, The Bridge Too Far. I think in the 70s, he was kind of like out of it a little bit.
He was, yeah. He was kind of like the ex-Bond.
Oh, yeah, he came back in 83 to do another Bond movie, Never Say Never Again.
Never Say Never Again. I saw that in the theaters.
Highlander, like you said, and The Untouchable. So the 80s was good for him. Memories of Me, Indiana Jones was in the 80s. Oh, The Hunt for Red October. That's a great movie.
Oh, that is. Yes. And he was good in that.
Rising Sun is a good movie, too. I've seen that. Let me see. I think that's a Michael Crichton.
Wow, there's a lot of shit.
Dragonheart is the one I had mentioned. There's a dragon. He played the voice of the dragon, but he's really good. He really brings some heart to that movie. Finding Forrester, that's a good little movie that he was in. That's a good little movie.
Yeah.
He was in the Avengers. Oh no, not the Marvel Avengers. It's the spy.
Yeah.
And then the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Sir Bill.
Wow, so his last movie was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a voice role. It wasn't even he retired after the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which some people joke it's a movie so bad that it made him retire. But we'll talk about my feelings on that movie because I just watched it. By the way, hello, people. Are you going somewhere, Pete?
I'm gonna get another beer. Actually.
Pete's gonna get another beer. While he does that, I'm gonna say hi. Let us know. I'm going to start talking Mandalorian while you're there.
All right.
What?
Yes, I look forward to talking to you. Are.
Yes, there is beer being drunk. Although tomorrow we do have to work. Let me see. I'm going to put here in the... How does it show comments? There we are. Let us know what you're watching and let us know how the audio sounds. But we're going to start today... Rest in peace again, Mr. Bond.
Mr. Wifesmacker.
Mr. Wifesmacker. That's a funny interview. You can find that on YouTube, guys. Just put Sean Connery wife slapping, and you'll get it. An interview with Barbara Walters. The funniest part of it is that Barbara is like trying to get him to be contrite about it.
Yeah, and he's like totally unapologetic.
Exactly.
Like, no, sometimes you gotta smack a bitch inside the head.
There was this interview with you from a few years back where you said this and this, and it's like, no, I still stand by that. And then he goes point by point to explain exactly why.
He's not contrite at all.
It's funny. But anyway, guys, oh my goodness. I was late to the Mandalorian party last year. I saw a lot of people talk about it, and I caught it when I think it was on episode 5 or 6, or maybe even after it finished. I don't know. But this year I was on it because I fell in love with it. They're such a cool little show. Not amazing, but fun. And so I was on it. When is it coming out? Every Friday or Thursday?
Well, the first episode premiered on the 24th, which I believe was a Saturday. So, yeah, it's Saturdays.
Okay, Saturdays. So, Saturdays, we got more Mandalorian. We got more Baby Yoda and more adventures out in the Star Wars universe. I'm going to let Pete talk about this one first because he's the big Star Wars fan. He had a nerdgasm, I think.
I did. I think it was... it's the Wild West episode, but actually what I really liked about it was our man Timothy Olyphant played the Marshal in this episode. For those of you who haven't seen it, the premise involves Mando looking for a Mandalorian who can help him take Baby Yoda back to his people, and he meets a guy who wears Mandalorian armor, but is not a Mandalorian. He is in fact just a regular dude who is wearing Boba Fett's armor. In case you didn't pick up on
Okay,
this.
that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looked like it was Boba Fett after he had been eaten by that thing.
Exactly. In case you didn't pick up on this, people, how the fuck did Mandalorian armor wound up on Tatooine? It's because it's Boba Fett's armor. All right. So somehow
I feel smart because I'm not like the hugest Star Wars fan, but I was like, yeah, that's Boba Fett. He got eaten by it. And I almost thought that sand dragon is it the same thing that ate him?
No.
Okay.
It ate the thing that ate him.
Okay, because I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. So the guy he goes to meet turns out to be Timothy Olyphant, who, man, like, if you like High Noon, if you like old westerns, like, Timothy Olyphant is like the greatest actor for these parts.
Mm-hmm.
He was Seth Bullock in Deadwood. He was Raylan Givens in Justified. And he's actually currently in the new season of Fargo, where he also plays a marshal. So, like, who the fuck else is the marshal going to be? Of course, it's Timothy Olyphant.
Yes, he's typecast as that, but he's good at it. He's great at it.
Yeah. And they have this moment where they're going to have a fucking duel to the death. Like, they're literally ready to shoot each other. But then the monster comes and they're like, okay, maybe we need to team up and deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, and they bond. That's the whole thing with the Mandalorian. Like, he comes across as such a badass at first, but he's such a softie.
No,
he
got this
really
little cute
is.
Baby Yoda. How could you not be? And there, I like that line where he's like, I figured you for a killer until I saw the little one with you. So you can tell he's got a soft heart under all that armor.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, his little heart melts and they become friends and they team up against the monster, which is awesome.
Great effects, man. Yeah.
They have this whole thing going on with the Sand People, which is funny as fuck, man.
Yes.
Because the Sand People, we know the Sand People are evil, but, it's like, well, maybe they're not. Like, maybe not. You can't judge all Sand People.
Yes.
That's what it basically came down to.
And that's what I loved about it. I was telling you one thing that's funny is coincidentally, last week's episode of Star Trek Discovery, season 3, was also a Western. So when you eventually get there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's great. It's set up as a total Western. Even the bad guy comes in through saloon doors out in space. It's great. So it's funny how we had 2 back-to-back Western-themed sci-fi shows. But one thing that I gotta say, this episode did what Star Trek Discovery hasn't managed to do yet, which is tell a Star Trek story, which is this, what you exactly said. It's like, we see there's a conflict, and then look, there's another side to this story. And like, these bad guys may not be so bad after all. They've lived here for 1,000 years. And yeah, okay, they're raiders, they're this and that, but they can be talked to. We can somehow, I don't want to spoil everything, but we can somehow find a way to work together with these people to defeat a common enemy, a common threat.
Yeah.
And it was so well done, and it was like something, Star Trek Discovery can learn a few things from. As much as I like that show, but it could learn a few from this episode. It was like
one of my favorite scenes is where they baited the monster with the bantha.
Yes.
And instead the monster ate the Tusken Raider, and Mando's
and the bantha's just sitting there like,
I'm open to other ideas.
Yes. I mean, that was a cute line, but what caught me was how the bantha was just, and great job with the banthas. I like how they used like practical effects. They were actually guys, I guess, in the suit. Like you can tell it wasn't a CGI beast. And Like, they were so cute. And then when the guy got eaten, they just kind of sidestepped to the side and gave like a more. Like, I thought they were. And I was telling Pete about this. It's such a great world building episode too, because we've seen all these characters. There are characters like, if you've watched Star Wars at least once, they just automatically you know what these things are, but you don't know about them. So it was a cool episode to universe build around characters that you never thought you could be interested in,
Right.
which I thought was really cool. I fell in love with it. It was really well paced. It was a real showstopper type episode compared to the first season, because the first season starts out a little slow.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever has an episode that was like, wow.
I actually thought the season finale was pretty good. The season 1 finale was pretty amazing.
I liked them all, so I'm sure I liked it, but I can't remember. I would have to go back and watch it. I can't remember anything.
That's the one where he fights Giancarlo Esposito, and yeah, he's like a former Moff from the Empire.
Oh yes, and he comes out on the ship and everything. There's
he roped his ship.
Yes,
that was amazing.
I gotta watch that one again, but I'm having images of it now. Yeah. So, but it seems like it's tight. Like they know the story. Like the production wise, they know the tone.
It was written by Jon Favreau too.
Oh, he's great.
He actually cool. he wrote that story. So
nice.
Good for him, man.
No, I can't wait like for the next episode if they keep this, because they just took whatever was in season 1 and just improved on it.
Exactly.
As far as pacing, production design, the character of Mando, they seem to know like just enough to keep him serious but have some comic relief.
Yeah.
They didn't center that much on little baby Yoda, but he was
he was insignificant actually. He was there. But it was like, okay, like we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to it, yeah. But I'm glad they still showed him, and he's still the cutest little thing in the universe. Oh my goodness. So, is it do we know it's a he? By the way, we keep saying a he. I'm not sure.
I believe it's a he. Yes. Yeah.
And I loved even when they showed like the connections that they made to the grander universe, where they showed the holograph of like the Empire.
Yeah. The map of Tatooine even.
Oh,
like because like if you followed the Star Wars movies over the years, you would think like Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker's world is the extent of Tatooine. Yeah. And here, like they actually show a map. It's like, no, he's at this like fucking shithole outpost like that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what I dug too? Although we got a lot of this in season 1, but this one became even more on a personal level. They made it a more personal story. Was how, and Pete's mentioned this a few times, how maybe the Empire wasn't all that bad because at least they kept some order.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the Empire fell, these miners came in.
Yeah, and they killed everybody.
They killed everybody, and it was just like there was no order. They didn't have anything set up. They didn't have a plan for after, which is very revolutionary. Take down the big guy, but what do we do after? And then, was it power hates a vacuum? So somebody's gonna come in, which is so like, Desert Storm, the Iraq War. Okay, you take out Saddam Hussein, but who are you gonna get to put in his place to control these whack jobs that these Osama bin Ladens of the world and Talibans and Al Qaeda's of the world that are just gonna take advantage? Because as shitty as the dude was, he kept those motherfuckers in check.
Yeah, fuck, long live Gaddafi, man.
Gaddafi was the same. He kept those motherfuckers in check. So it's funny how they made that connection, and they made it very clear and made it very personal. They showed, when the Marshal was telling his backstory. So I give this an A+, definitely.
Yeah, I love this episode.
Very good episode.
It was wonderful.
So I can't wait to watch more Mandalorian and see where they're going to take. So I'm happy. I got 2 back-to-back. I can watch back-to-back. I can watch Star Wars and Star Trek back-to-back, basically, for the next month or so. So that makes me happy. Very, very happy. And Pete finally got to the Terran Empire in Discovery.
I did. I love it. Captain Killy.
He's back.
She's so adorable.
He's backlogged with Star Trek.
She's so delightful.
Oh, and it gets better, man. It gets wacky. The only episode I didn't like out of that run was the finale. I thought was a little like, but up to that point, it was really, really cool. As soon as they get to the Terran, there's a lot of twists and turns coming. I don't want to give too much away. But back to our old man, Sir. Is he? He's a Sir, right, Sir?
He is a knight. He is a knight. Yes.
I remember I read that he was part of like the Scottish independence movement, so they didn't want to give him a knighthood. But since he had lived away from Scotland for so long, I don't think he could give them donations or something. So that's the only reason they let him get a knighthood. But in either case, people really don't like this movie, and I didn't have time to read all the reviews of why people don't like this movie, but I've read them throughout the years. They really don't like The League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen. I was like, I want to find a way to honor Sean Connery today, but not with the usual movies. So I was either going to watch Zordan or The League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen, because I remember as a kid I saw this movie and I really had fun with it. And why? Because I was a bookworm. Maybe that's another reason why I missed a lot of these 80 movies. Because in the 80s, I was just reading my head off. And one of the first big books, I remember I was so proud. I was in the 5th grade, and they had the jelly bean, count the jelly beans in the jar contest. And I won. You know, like I did this.
Counted the jelly beans.
I pretty much, that was my technique. I don't know if this technique really works, guys. But here's a tip for all your moms to tell your kids. Just make a little square in your mind and see how many jelly beans are in that square, and then just kind of imagine that square going all around and then like a few times inside because it's 3-dimensional. And that's what I did. I said, okay, there's like 6 here, so I just went 6, 12, and I got approximately, I guess I got the closest number. And what was my prize? A book. How exciting. But I got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and I was so happy because it was like my first big book, all right? Because it was like 600 pages or something. So these characters were, before I got into comic books, before I got into superheroes, they were my superheroes. The Invisible Man, I remember reading way back in the day. Not the Ralph Ellison version. I read that when I was a bit older, which is also a great book. The Invisible Man, Sherlock Holmes, Captain Nemo. I never read, and in fact, I always forget his name. From Around the World in 80 Days. Actually, because I should know his name because he's the main character. But the premise of this is an Alan Moore story, okay, comic book, and he takes all these classic characters. Oh, Dracula, I remember I read when I was a kid, Frankenstein, all these books, along with H.G. Wells' books, The Time Machine and all that stuff. But he, what's his name, man? Alan Quatermain, okay? And I guess he's from Adventure
King
Books.
Solomon's Mines.
Yes, from back in the day. Dorian Gray is another one. And who wrote that? For the novel C. Alan Quatermain novel, is a protagonist in H. Rider Haggard's 1985, King Solomon's Mines and its sequel. He was also the title book in the sequence. Okay, so adventure novels. I've never read them, so this one I will admit I've never seen. But the other ones, they were my heroes growing up. When I was a little kid, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I read that when I was a little kid. So when this movie came out, I never even knew about the comic book, and actually I've never even read it. I still have never read it. But I just thought it was a novel idea. Get them in an Avengers-style movie way back before the Avengers. Put them all together because they all have superpowers, quote unquote, in their own way, to fight this big bad guy who's trying to start a world war. And that's pretty much the premise of the movie. It's not that deep, and there's a few twists, but you see them coming like a million miles away. But whatever, it works for me. I think it's well paced, well plotted. Pete actually came here and watched the last 30 minutes of it. What do you think of the last 30 minutes? You in the middle of the action. I don't know.
Yeah, well, if the whole movie was like that, then it's probably not that bad.
Yeah, it's not. It isn't. There's a little bit of a lull in the middle where they're going. I think they need to stop the bad guy. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it. They have to go to Venice, and they get on Captain Nemo's submarine, the Nautilus. And yeah, that takes a little while. So, okay, that's a little bit of a lull for them to get from A to B. But a lot of the stuff that happens on the submarine, there's callbacks to it in their final when they find out in Venice that who the real bad guy is, because you think that Venice is like the end of the movie. It's like, okay, they're gonna get there, and then you realize, oh no, there's more to it after Venice. And Sean is great in it. I know there's stories about how he hated making this movie. He didn't get along with the director and some of the other actors.
That's just basically time to quit time.
Exactly. But he did action hero real well for his age. I don't know how old he was. Well, he's 90 now, right? So you're better at math than me. This movie came out in what, 2003?
Right. So it was like early 70s.
Early 70s. And he's punching and fighting. Obviously, he had some stunt doubles, but a lot of that stuff, you can see that it was really him. So it was cool because I know folks were talking maybe a few years ago how now it's like the older men are becoming action stars because you had like Denzel Washington and what's the guy from that played Ra's al Ghul?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson did a couple movies like that. I haven't seen them where they're like action movies. So now
I will find you and I will kill you.
Yeah, so it's like a trend for old guys to be in action movies. And I say to those people, watch Sean Connery in The Rock. Obviously, that one is a great movie.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't know, man. I don't get the hate. Put it in the comments why you think this movie sucks, because I will defend this movie now even more because I hadn't seen it maybe since 2003, 2005. So you always have that nagging feeling in the back of your head. It's like, oh, maybe I was too young and I didn't get it and it really did suck, or maybe it's like young me, And then I was like, no, I actually had a lot of fun with it. I had a whole lot of fun with it. So I think it's one worth revisiting. And some movies, that does happen in some movies, though, where folks, like after some time passes, there's like a revisioning of the movie where like, oh, it actually wasn't as bad. Like we were thinking about that with the Star Wars. Actually, Kanye West just, of the many crazy things that he says, but he was just on the Rogan Experience, and he was talking about how he likes the prequels way more than that Disney trash.
That might be the one thing that I agree with Kanye West on.
Yeah, and he's like, and he said the same thing that you said. So look at this. He's like, because it was a vision. It was George Lucas' vision. It was one complete story from beginning to end. And they got into all the politics and the why. Yeah. And we got to see Darth Vader actually become Darth Vader. Like, he broke it down. I was like, and I've noticed, as each year passes, the hate for those movies, there's some definitely bad parts about those movies.
They've gotten a huge cult following.
Yeah, but the
new movies get more hate.
I know. I think the new movies helped George Lucas's old movies. Those movies, because at the very least, yes, could he have used a really good editor in those movies and just chopped about half of the second one, especially Revenge of the Sith? Yes, but are there really awesome parts of those movies? Yes. Is the story as a whole really cool? What he was trying to do with the world building, with the politics, and all of that.
Like, dude, we live in an era where we judge things by memes, and if you can judge Star Wars by memes, the prequels have it by far. Man.
Exactly.
There's no more Star Wars memes than from the prequels. And
those prequels, and Kanye even mentioned that the prequels also spawned a lot of great shows, which you just were watching, right? The cartoon ones.
Yes, I'm still watching Rebels.
The Clone Wars and Rebels.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, so he was totally defending the prequels. So sometimes that happens where after some time passes, because I think sometimes we just get emotional.
It's the butthurt, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the butthurt that gets people. It's like, oh, this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah,
so
and I feel
I'm gonna hate it without even thinking about it.
I feel that sometimes people are like that with this movie based on the comics, because the comics, probably had a whole different tone to it, probably darker. Because this movie is definitely kid friendly. It doesn't feel like an Alan Moore movie.
That's how I feel about Jurassic Park, actually. Jurassic Park is not a bad movie. It's actually really enjoyable. But I read the book, and the book is like so fucking evil and horror.
I love the book. Yeah, I love them both. I love them both, but I think you got to judge things on their own merits.
Exactly.
When it comes.
All right, I'm gonna hit the can.
Uh-oh, there's a pee break here going. But,
Yeah.
you left at the worst time because we were going to move on to your movies next. But go ahead.
Continue to honor Sean Connery.
We will honor Sean Connery. We'll honor this movie. And yeah, it whizzes by, guys. So I would say give this one a rewatch. Don't judge it. If you've seen the Alan Moore comics, you can't judge it by the Alan Moore comics. Come on, you gotta judge a movie by its own merits. Even like Watchmen. I'm not a fan of the movie, but I'm not a fan of the movie based on the movie, not because of the comics, which I saw or I didn't see. I read after the movie because I thought, okay, there's stuff in the movie that is interesting. I maybe want to read the comic, and clearly love the comics way much more than I like the movie. But I judged them on their own because they're two different mediums. Two different mediums. In books, you can go darker. You can go into people's minds, and you can spend 2-3 pages of a novel just deciphering what's going on in somebody's mind. Where in a movie it would just be a guy sitting, in the corner on a chair. That doesn't make for good drama, right? Or good action. And sometimes there's tonal shifts. And I know it can be upsetting. Like I know I was upset with The Walking Dead around season 6 or 7 when they brought Negan in because Negan was such a dark and freaky dude in the comic books, and they just made him into a cartoon character. And again, it seems like I'm contradicting myself, but it's just it was like a bad cartoon character. Later, Angela Kang came in, and she managed to reboot Negan, where he's still not the same Negan of the comics, but he's an interesting character. Like I like him now, So you can reimagine characters without making them bad. So I think that's important to say at the end. You can't judge completely different mediums. Completely different ways to tell stories. But yes, so see if you get a chance, watch this one from the start, Pete. I think you might like it. It's kind of cool, and the beginning is nice. There's a whole lot of.
That's a nice concept. I like the concept.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept, and I wish it hadn't. This is a movie like Van Helsing, which
right.
It's like, what is there to really hate on that movie for? I mean, it's not a masterpiece.
No.
But it's a fun movie.
My problem with it is this: watching it is like I just don't buy into this shit. And a friend of mine was watching it with me, and he's like, "Oh, you really don't believe the part where Van Helsing is shooting Dr. Jekyll and they're jumping off the building?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Okay, I get your point. Like, it's supposed to be ridiculous."
Yeah, no, that's what I liked about it. It's very campy.
Yeah,
it's extremely camp. But these movies somehow they just managed to survive, which shows to me that maybe folks they were wrong about it when it came out. Because you still, like, every Halloween or even off Halloween days, Van Helsing will be on your cable TV channel. So it's got a following.
Right.
And it just sucks that it maybe just didn't catch people at just the right moment where they weren't willing to forgive its flaws, and then it didn't get a chance to develop into something with a sequel. Because not every great franchise has amazing first movies. They really don't.
No.
Majority
Friday the 13th is horrible.
Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Robert Wise directed that.
Yes.
Unbelievably.
So what do you call them? So sometimes, I would have loved to have seen it. It would be nice if somebody did a reboot of this, a modern reboot, because I love all these characters. And most importantly, it gets young kids interested in some classic literature,
which
for
sure.
me is the most important. I was telling Pete how one of my little brother's friends, he was selling cakes. So, I help him out. So he brings me a couple cakes every once in a while. But he's really interested in reading. So I took him to the bookstore and I bought him 20,000 Leagues, and he's really digging it. He's like, wow, this is such a cool book. And I'm like, great, man. Like he's like 16, 17 and he's reading. And if you know anything about Brazil and the literacy rates,
Yes.
it
If you
makes
can get
me
a Brazilian kid reading, it's amazing.
exactly. It's like makes me super, 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 super happy that he's reading about Captain Nemo's adventures. But anyway, let's move on. And now Pete's gonna go. I'm gonna get a cigarette while he's talking about this. The trial of
Chicago
Chicago
7.
7.
Yes. Yeah.
Pete's
Look,
gonna get all lefty liberal on you guys.
no, I'm not.
I'm joking.
I'm not because, like, honestly, like, dudes, we got election time coming up in the U.S. very soon, and I will tell you, I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me who wins because I'm a Canadian, and who occupies the White House actually means nothing to me.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Pete. If you don't support Joe Biden, you ain't black.
Yeah, that's true,
So-
and I'm not. So
Okay. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Okay.
Yes. So, like, whether or not American voters choose the racist motherfucker or the misogynist motherfucker, I don't really care. But what struck me most about this movie is that
Wait, I'm gonna interrupt you. What's funny about that is, in a way, you can't tell which is which if you say.
Yeah, I know. They're both
we
pieces
won't,
of shit.
won't tell you which one he was referring to when he said racist and which one he meant
Yeah.
misogynist. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. This movie tells a story about a very real historical fact, which I knew about, but I didn't really know the details. Like, I know who Abby Hoffman is. I know who Bobby Seals is. I didn't really know the specifics all that much. So this movie was really helpful in filling in the details. But it was relevant because what the Chicago 7 were arrested for was not being leftist, protesting a right wing government. They were arrested for being leftists, protesting a leftist Democratic nomination.
Who was it? I forgot.
Hubert Humphrey.
Okay.
Yeah, they were protesting Hubert Humphrey being nominated as the Democratic candidate, and they were like, "Man, this isn't good enough. Like, we're anti-Nixon, but if you're giving us Humphrey, that's not any better." And it reminds me a lot of what is happening now, where, like, it's like, okay, you guys get Joe Biden.
Well, not
Great.
even now. Hillary. That was a whole Hillary.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
the
exactly.
Bernie or bust crowd.
Yeah.
They got really pissed that Hillary got the nomination.
Yeah, and that's exactly why Trump got elected, because people are like, well, fuck, I'm just not going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the situation, it shows, like, they're not the villains that they were painted out to be. Like, a lot of people collectively lost their shit, and these people were blamed for it. And the judge in the trial was a complete asshole. If you believe the movie, I do, because apparently the judge was removed from the bench after the trial. Like, he was so biased. Played by Frank Langella, by the way, who's amazing in this movie. And this motherfucker, he's really good too.
Who's this motherfucker? Because they can't see your finger.
He was a civil rights lawyer.
What are you talking about? The guy in the karate suit?
The bald guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really educational to a poor ignorant Canadian like myself who doesn't know that much about American history. It seemed to be pretty fair, because I like to vet shit, because I know a lot of shit gets romanticized. So I looked it up, and yeah, it actually seems to be a pretty fair portrayal of a story where people were just saying, like,
it's a Sorkin movie.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
You don't represent us.
Mm-hmm.
And they really went out of their way to convince the city of Chicago to allow them to protest peacefully. And the city of Chicago said no. And they showed up anyway. And shit just got out of hand. And these specific people got blamed for it.
The guy that Pete was talking about is John Carroll Lynch, and he played the leader of the National Mobilization Committee to End the War in Vietnam. Moby. He played David Bellinger.
Okay.
He was on the Drew Carey show as the title character's cross-dressing brother. I don't remember that. I've watched a few episodes of that. And Sacha Baron Cohen is in this movie.
Yeah, he plays Abby Hoffman.
Yeah.
He plays Abby Hoffman, and he's really good. Like,
Oh, he's the guy in the karate suit.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, that is him.
Yeah.
I'm so used to seeing him in other faces.
Abby Hoffman is like really hard to get down with sometimes because like I don't know, like I am a centrist at heart. Like I can't go that far left. I can't go as far left as Abby Hoffman. But when he gives his speeches, like it's hard to argue with. Like he does make a point, and I was really not against it. I thought, I thought Sacha Baron Cohen as Abby Hoffman was a really good performance. I don't know who played William Kunstler. William Kunstler was their lawyer.
Oh, look in there. We're on the wiki page.
Because I thought it was Christopher, not Christopher, blah, blah, blah.
There's Daniel
Batman.
Yeah, what's his name? I saw that he was on the roster. Michael Keaton.
No, not that Batman. The other Batman.
There's another Batman. Which
Joseph
Gordon-Levitt. Robin.
Nolan films.
Robin.
Christian Bale. Christian Bale. That's the guy.
I didn't see him in the list.
I thought he played William Kunstler.
No, William Kunstler is played by Mark Rylance.
Oh, okay. Because
this
guy, he was like a legend lawyer, and it's actually kind of sad because late in his career, he started to defend people who were like, man, those people were indefensible. But back in his day, he was the king of law. He made lawyers celebrities.
Yeah, I gotta still watch this movie. It was funny, kind of a proud teacher moment because I teach kids American history here in Brazil, and one of my students, she's like maybe 15 or so. She just randomly messaged me because now we're doing everything online, so they all have my phone number, which doesn't make me that happy, but okay.
No.
I have to watch what I post on my statuses now. That's all I kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
And on my WhatsApp statuses, but but she just messaged me randomly, and she's like, "Teacher, I saw this movie, and it's a different name in Portuguese, but." Anyway, the trial of the Chi-7, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Did you like it?" She's like, "Yeah, it was really nice." And da. So I had like a proud teacher's moment because we were just talking about like we just got out of the 70s with Nixon and Watergate and the Vietnam War and all the anti-war protests. So that was cool. It was really cool.
What I really liked about this was about how it was mostly about the right criminalizing the left for protesting the left.
Yes.
It's like, how fucking insane can you get? These guys, like, I'm not down with them. I don't really identify with them, and they don't identify with each other. Like, you see their breakdown as the movie follows. It's like, Abby, we followed you, and like, obviously you're insane. And the thing is, it's the Chicago 7, but there was actually 8.
Yeah, because Bobby
Seals was a Black Panther.
Yep.
Who was on trial, and he wasn't represented, but he was being tried alongside them. But it's interesting that it was the left protesting against the left. I think that's what really stuck with me.
Well, I think that's interesting because people tend to they generalize a little bit too much what is left, what is right. And there's segments to it all, man. I mean, even on the right. I mean, remember when we had the Tea Party movement? That was the right protesting the right. They were like, Republicans have not met the Republican standard for a very long time, and we want to get back to a constitutional version of what the Republicans are supposed to be what Abraham Lincoln represented, which is
Right.
real small government, small taxes, or less taxes, or fewer taxes. More state rights, whatever, the whole Republican agenda, which it isn't now. That I worked for a little bit when I was 18 or so at a radio station. This lady called Raleigh James, and she was the first libertarian that I met. And she used to always say about the what would you call them, the Republicrats and the Demopublicans. That was her. It's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
And they have a phrase here in Brazil too. They call it farinha do mesmo saco, which means it's like flour from the same sack.
Yeah.
Meaning all these guys, at the end of the day, they're shaking hands with each other. Similar, I love that movie that you recommended a while back, the Boys Club, not Boys Club, Boys Town or something, where they take their little kids out to Texas.
Yeah.
And how the shocking moment of that movie is when the kid that's super Republican, he's defending abortion and this, and then you get him in backstage. He's
like, I don't believe any of that shit.
Like, I'm actually pretty pro-choice, and like, I don't think we should have guns. But you realize that behind closed doors, even adult politicians are like that. They're just going to do what it takes to get elected.
Oh, even in Bora with the Rudy Giuliani thing, man.
Yes.
That was pretty hardcore.
That was funny.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to just sit down and talk to people, because even though somebody may identify as left, but what does that mean? Like, I have Democratic friends who are 100% pro-gun. I have right-wing friends who are 100%, in favor of a woman's right to manage her body. And it's like we tend to just put people in these little squares. And then even within the right, nobody's just all left or all right. There's more extreme. I'm like Pete, I can't get into the extreme parts from the left or the right.
Yeah.
But there's parts, when I hear a Republican talk, I'm like, yeah, right on. Like, he's making 100% sense. Democrats, a little bit less lately.
Oh, dude.
But sometimes it's like,
even our man Bolsonaro sometimes makes sense.
I know.
Which is insane.
I know. So, yeah, I think stuff like that is nice when you're able to just sit down and talk to people and realize politics, like nothing in life, more or less, is a monolith. And he mentioned Bobby Seale. Pete mentioned Bobby Seale, and I do recommend a movie called Vanguards of the Revolution, because I knew a little bit about the Black Panthers, but not that much. We just get like the media version of like these real dangerous guys. And that movie really breaks it down. And it breaks down that even within the Black Panthers, there were divisions. There was we just want to kill white people because they're just like fucked up. And then there's the ones that like work together with other white organizations, socialist organizations, the farmers and stuff. So even within the Black Panthers, there were sides that were like, hey, I could ride with these guys, but these guys maybe I couldn't ride with. Some sides that were more pro-women, other sides that were like very macho, like, no, it's got to be like the men controlling everything. So, yeah, you can't judge. Well, I mean, I can't say that for everything, right? I guess a Nazi is a Nazi is a Nazi.
Yeah, that's not true. There's
there are nice Nazis out there.
Yeah. There's Nazis who are like completely like down with like the whole homogeny of Germany, and well, actually, I guess that's still pretty evil.
That's still pretty evil, man. Come on, Pete is not trying to defend Nazis, guys. He's just a little drunk. There's some things that you can definitely like. Yeah, Taliban is fucked up, and there's some things that just. Like we said, there's extremes. And then when you go over the edge of the extreme, then I think it's like indefensible. Like, okay, there's no place anymore for me to defend like West Borough Baptist Church, the guy that hates fags people. But if you're...
Don't protest his funeral.
Exactly.
Motherfucker, man. You're going to get so protested.
Exactly. But if somebody is just, your basic Republican, basic Democrat, and maybe a little bit to that side and a little bit to the other within that, then, man, it is what it is. That's always going to exist on planet Earth. People are going to have different opinions on politics, and sometimes they won't agree with themselves, which Pete had mentioned is it wasn't just Bernie Sanders why in their voters not voting why Trump got elected. It was
Right.
all the people on the right that were pissed off at the Republicans. And they're
Yes.
like, Trump is talking to us for whatever reason. It may be bullshit, it may not be bullshit, but we're like, okay, he's going back to what a Republican should be. More business, less taxes, get us out of these wars out here. Like, let's get,
Yeah. I mean, I don't
just take care of America.
I don't
America first.
I don't blame Trump voters. I don't understand them or like them, but I don't blame them. I can understand why they did the things they did.
Yeah, no, I get them. I get them. So yes, I'll eventually get around to watching this one because I like stuff like this.
Yeah, Sacha Baron Cohen as Abby Hoffman, man, that was awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that was him.
Yeah, no, he was good. I mean, Abby Hoffman's a character, man.
Yeah, because I thought this looked like the guy's. There was an actor from Saturday Night Live, which I think his name is Andy something, but I thought it was that guy from Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Saturday Night Live.
No, he was good, and it was a realistic depiction of how disrespectful he was in the courtroom. But I think the thing is, he tried to be respectful.
This guy, Andy Samberg. I thought it was Andy Samberg. Kind of looks like him a little bit when the hair is all out. But go ahead.
But yeah, he tried to be respectful in the courtroom, but the court didn't give him respect. And he's like, motherfucker, you're not giving me respect? I'm not giving you respect back either.
Oh, so he's just a nutcase. I can watch it. I can dig it. All right, let's finish out. We got one more movie to go, guys. And thank you for this one viewer we got on who's been chilling with us. Unless it's us. No, it's not us, because I closed the YouTube channel. So thank you for watching. Say hello if you wish. Let us know what you're watching. Because, yeah, end of the year, that's when I get in all my fucking movies. But anyway, what is this? Free Fire? Not the video game?
This is Free Fire, yes.
And what is this about?
It's about tensions being taken to the extreme, basically. The plot of the movie is that these IRA guys are going to buy guns from some American gangsters, and over the course of their, it starts, first of all, they want to buy M16s, and they have AR-7s. And they start pissing about that. It's like, oh, well, we wanted M16s, you got AR-7s. And you can just see the tension building between them. Shit starts to build. They start insulting each other. And shit reaches a point where you got these two groups of guys that are packing weapons and are at an isolated location, and they just start shooting each other. And the funny thing is, nobody dies. They just actually wound each other. So you have all these people who are just blam, 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 blasting each other, but not actually killing anyone. They're just hurting each other. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing, what I really liked about it was it showed how you have to back up when it comes to diplomacy. You can't let things get that far, because things can get really out of hand to a point where you back yourself into a corner and you have no choice but to, honor yourself. Mm-hmm. You gotta stand by your guns. And these guys, they let it go badly. Failure of diplomacy, big time.
Yes, it's a lot of people shooting each other. I see. It's a British black comedy directed by Ben Wheatley, and it stars, I don't know any of these. Go on, a few of these guys. Charlotte Copley, I don't know. Armie Hammer's in there. Brie Larson, Cillian Murphy, Jack Rayner.
Cillian Murphy is amazing in this.
Enzo Cienti. Do I know this guy? Oh, I know this guy.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Peaky Blinders, dude.
Uh-huh. Yeah, all right. See, sometimes I'm terrible with names, but I rarely do I forget a face. But I've seen him in something else. In The Dark Knight, he was the Scarecrow.
Yeah, he's a Scarecrow.
Oh, okay, that's what I know him from.
Yeah, he's in like all of Christopher Nolan's films.
Yes, okay.
He was in Inception as well.
Okay. All right, that's what I know. Oh, he's great.
No,
he was in
he's
Dunkirk.
amazing in this. And actually, he's my favorite character in the movie because there's this one girl in the movie who's played by Brie Larson.
Mhm.
And like the whole time he's trying to fix a date with her. It's like, are you serious? Like people are trying to murder you. Like a date is actually your biggest priority right now. But
and Noah Taylor, he's from Game of Thrones. I don't know Taylor. He's kind of cool. Yeah, I'll check this out. And you said that you kind of liked Brie Larson, her turn in the movie.
Yeah, because she's the one who brokers the deal. Like she brokered the deal between the guys who are selling the guns and the Irish people who are buying the guns. And like as shit starts to escalate, she's trying so hard to be the voice of reason. She's like stop the dick swinging contest, people. Like just stop. But when the guns start flying, she actually gets shot. She gets shot in the leg. Everyone gets shot in the leg. Nobody actually takes a fatal bullet. Like they just take hits here and there. So they're all crawling around wounded and shit. But she gets shot in the leg, and she's like, "Motherfucker, man! I picked my side."
I get you. Yeah, I'd watch this for her. Like I was mentioning, like she's not a bad actress. She just. I don't know. She doesn't do it for me, for Miss Marvel, but she's not a bad actress. I'll check this out. Well, guys, I remember the last minute quick pick, but I will save it for next week, because we're watching Apocalypto with one of my little students. But I'll talk about Apocalypto next week, guys. So we got a lot of movies in today. Okay.
Good, yes.
Mandalorian, Lead, Chicago, Free Fire.
And the Deer Hunter.
So we got a whole lot of stuff in, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, which I believe I said at the beginning for the first time in like months. So please do that. Thank you to all the new subscribers. We pick up one or two every week, so that's nice. It's a slow grow process.
Yeah, and thanks to Zayden. Zayden's my son's best friend. My son doesn't listen to us anymore, but Zayden apparently does.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Thanks for listening. We are here for that, just to entertain you guys during the lockdown. Hope you're all healthy, well, and we will see you next week with some more movies. Let me just figure out how to turn this off. And thank you to that one person that was watching. Maybe that's Zayden. But they hung around all broadcast, basically. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, he likes you way more than he likes me.
Oh, shit. Well, there you go. Peace. And Pete's lovable, though. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to tell a kid to... he's a kid, right? I just said fuck you to a kid.
He's like 14 or 15.
I didn't mean that, kid.